Hello everyone. Welcome back to our English learning channel. Today, we will practice English using the shadowing technique. First, listen carefully. Then pause the video and repeat after me. Copy my voice, speed, and emotion. This will help you speak English more clearly and confidently. Are you ready? Let's begin the story. My name is Daniel. I am 19 years old. I live in a small town near the sea. Every morning, I wake up at 6 a.m. I help my mother prepare breakfast. Then, I go to college. My life is simple, too simple. I study accounting, not because I love it, but because my family says it is safe. My father died when I was 12. Since then, my mother works 2 jobs. She's always tired. I don't want to disappoint her. At college, I sit in the back row. I listen, I take notes. But I never speak. Not because I have nothing to say, but because I am afraid. Afraid of making mistakes, afraid of looking stupid, afraid of being seen. At night, when everyone sleeps, I do something different. I put on my headphones. I listen to English videos, stories, voices, dreams from another world. I repeat the sentences quietly, again and again. This is my secret. One Friday afternoon, something changed. It was raining. The sky was gray. The college hallways were almost empty. I was walking home when I saw a white envelope on the floor. It was near the notice board. I almost ignored it. But then I saw my name, Daniel Carter. My heart stopped. I picked it up. My hands were shaking. It was a letter from the college office. I stood there for a long time. People walked past me. I didn't move. Finally, I opened it. Dear Daniel, you have been selected to apply for an international student exchange program. I read it again and again. International exchange program. My legs felt weak. The letter said the program was in Australia. 3 months, all classes in English. My first thought was not happiness. It was fear. I walked home slowly. The rain soaked my jacket. I didn't care. At home, my mother was in the kitchen. She looked at me and smiled. "You're late," she said. I nodded. I put the letter on the table. I didn't say anything. She picked it up. She read it silently. Then she looked at me. "This is good," she said softly. I shook my head. "No, Mom, it's not for me." She frowned. "Why?" I looked at the floor. My English is bad. I can't speak in front of people. I don't belong there. She didn't answer immediately. She sat down. "Daniel," she said, "do you remember when you learned to walk?" I looked up. "You fell many times," she continued, "but you stood up again, every time." She pushed the letter back toward me. "Sometimes fear is just a door," she said. "You don't know what's behind it until you open it." That night, I didn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling. The letter was on my desk. Australia, English, a new life, or a big failure. I picked up my phone. I opened my notes. I wrote one sentence. What if I try? The next day, I read the letter again. Slowly, every single word. There was a deadline. 2 weeks. Only 2 weeks to decide my future. At college, I didn't tell anyone. Not my friends, not my teachers. I sat in the back row again. But inside my head, everything was loud. Every word the teacher said sounded far away. I could think of only one thing. What if I try? That evening, I sat in front of my old laptop. It was noisy and slow. I opened the exchange program website. The requirements were simple and scary. Fill out the form, write a motivation letter, record a short video in English, a video. I closed the laptop. My heart was beating fast. Speaking English in front of a camera? That felt worse than speaking in class. The next day, I put my headphones on again. But this time, I listened differently. I didn't just repeat the words. I imagined someone was listening. I repeated the sentences louder, clearer, slower. Sometimes I stopped, laughed at myself. Sometimes I got angry. "Why is this so hard?" I whispered. But I continued, every night, for 1 hour, sometimes more. A few days later, my mother came into my room. "Are you still awake?" she asked. "Yes," I said. "I'm studying." She looked at the screen, at the English words, at the headphones. She didn't say anything. She just smiled and left. That gave me strength. A week passed. I opened the website again. The form was complete. Only one thing was left. The video. I put my phone on the table, pressed record. The screen lit up. I opened my mouth and said nothing. I stopped the recording. I tried again. "Hello, my name is Daniel." My voice was shaking. I stopped again and again, 10 times, 20 times. On the 21st time, I didn't stop. "Hello, my name is Daniel. I am 19 years old. I come from a small seaside town." I spoke slowly, with mistakes. But I spoke. I talked about why I wanted to join the program, about my family, about my fear, about my dream. When I finished, my hands were shaking. I watched the video. It wasn't perfect English, but it was the real me. I pressed submit. The screen froze for a second. The application was sent. I leaned back in my chair, closed my eyes. Everything became quiet. The answer was supposed to come in 1 month, the longest month of my life. Every day I checked my email, every morning, every evening. Sometimes I thought, why did I even try? Sometimes, what if? One morning I saw a new email. The subject line was short, "Congratulations." My heart stopped again. I opened it, was shaking when I opened the email. "Congratulations! You have been accepted into the International Exchange Program." I read it twice, and again. My heart was beating so fast, I thought it would jump out of my chest. I screamed with joy. Mom ran into my room. "What happened?" she asked. I could barely speak. I got accepted to Australia." She hugged me tightly. Tears were running down her cheeks. "I knew you could do it," she said. The next day, I started preparing. I checked my passport, tickets, documents. My room was full of stuff. I was afraid to take it all. Afraid I would make a mistake. Afraid I couldn't do it. But the fear was mixed with excitement, with anticipation, with a dream. When I sat on the plane, I felt for the first time that my life was changing. Everything around me was new. People, language, food, air. I remembered all the nights I practiced speaking English, all the videos I repeated, all the mistakes I went through. And now I was here, on another continent, with one goal: to learn, to grow, to not be afraid. The first days were hard. I got lost on the streets. Didn't understand people. Sometimes I felt like a small child in a huge world. But slowly I got used to it. I made friends, started speaking confidently, listened to every word, repeated it, shadowing every day. After a few weeks, I began to understand not just words. I understood people, their feelings, their stories. I realized that English is not just a language. It is a door to another world, a world where I can be myself, a world where I can dream bigger than before. On the last day of the program, we gathered for a ceremony. Everyone got certificates. I held mine in my hands. But inside, that was not the most important thing. The important thing, I had grown. I believed in myself. I did what I was afraid of before. I opened the door to a new world. I texted my mom. "Mom, I did it." She replied, "I always knew you could." And then I understood. Sometimes a letter that seems scary or hard is exactly what will change your life. Sometimes fear is just a door, and behind it, new opportunities. Behind it, the strength we didn't even know we had. I came back home different, not just with English, with confidence, with a dream, with the desire to move forward. I realized one thing. Every small effort, every repetition, every word you say out loud, it builds you, builds your courage, builds your life. And if you are afraid, remember, fear is a door. Open it.